In this video, I'm going to replace these brake lines, and I have a 2001 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and this is 2024 January, so it's almost 24 years because that Jeep was manufactured in 2000 in December or November, December, and so I have never replaced the brake lines. My car. This Jeep doesn't run that much right now, so it has only 136,000 miles. And I found that the brake light came on and there was a leak in one of the lines, so I'm planning to replace it. See where it is rusted here, and this is mostly where for these Jeeps where it gets rusted. So this is where it is coming from the front, and the lower one is the brake line. And this is where it has pretty much rusted and disintegrated. Replacement, I have the Dorman preformed brake line kit, which is made of stainless steel. So I went for the stainless steel. This I bought it online from O'Reilly Parts. Also, I will put a link to Amazon. It's a similar price. It's around $110 plus taxes. And this was a better fix since I'm going to do it myself. And there are reasons for this. Is I went with the stainless steel because I don't have to worry about it, and also this is something where I don't have to worry about forming these lines at all. So these are preformed and these have already been flared. So this came in 9 pieces of the parts, and there is one line which goes to the back. So it goes from the front of here all the way to the back, and that comes in 2 pieces. And one piece came in a bend, and they are very well marked here. So you can see rear feed, rear section, and then it comes with the rear feed front section. So they have made it in 2 sections, which is really good. And then it also comes with a flare fitting for that, so you can connect it. Also the front one, the one that goes from here all the way, this is connecting over there. You can see the rust in here also. This one has been divided into 2 sections, so it ends over there, and then there is a section that goes down there. So that also helps in taking out the old section. Even with removing this cover, it was very difficult to remove or untighten this bolts here. And these are regular wrenches, so I ended up buying a set of the flare wrenches, and I got it from Harbor Freight. These were like $17. These are double-ended flare nut wrench set. What it does is it has the more gripping points than the regular wrenches. The regular wrench has only 3 sides, right, mostly, and it has a lot more. So this will grip a lot more. But even with this, it was getting difficult to turn, because it's very difficult. There's hardly any space. So I bought this set, which is the drive ratchet set, which actually is the one you need, and I'll put a link for buying it on Amazon. If you have a Harbor Freight will be much cheaper, and you need the 12 millimeter ones. And here I put this over, for example, and all you have to do is with this ratchet, you have to turn it. I might need both my hands, but this will get it off. So for example, with this one, it was very tight, and with this ratchet it just broke it loose. So once I have it a little more untightened, I will use a regular ratchet to open it, or a regular wrench to open it. So once I got it loose, it's easier for me to use a regular wrench. It will grip it much easier, and I will remove this flare nut. In the back, just before, on the driver's side, just before the rear wheel, you will find this is the flare nut that I have to remove this brake line here. I'm going to spray some PB Blaster. For this flare nut, I'm using a 10 millimeter flare wrench. Actually, the other one is the 12 millimeter. So the same flare wrench is on the opposite side is the 10 millimeter, and that one fits. And this one opened up pretty well. So if you don't have a flare wrench, get a flare wrench, and that should help a lot. To remove the clips, it's not that difficult. These are too little, and since this is going to be discarded, we have to press on these plastic and release it. So I'm going to use both my hands. So for the long line, they come with shipping bands, and you can see there are 2 stickers in here, and what I have to do is slowly bend it. Just make sure you don't kink it, and I'll take my time to straighten this bend. And this is the longer line that goes from the front to the back, and you can see why I am using a stainless steel is I don't have to worry about replacing this anytime for the life of the car. The straightening came out pretty well, and it was not as malleable as, say, copper nickel alloy, probably even stronger than steel. And that's what I like about the stainless steel, is I don't have to worry about replacing this as long as I will own this Jeep. So this is the rear feed front section to ABS unit, and this one is going to go down this way so that I have this unit come in. So I'm going to pass this as the other one, and it might be a little tricky, but I'll take my time. So the trick to getting this into the space is the steering column is going to be in the way. So it needs to go to the driver's side of the steering column, and it was difficult to pass in through that from the top. So what I did is I pushed it through the passenger side of the steering column, and then I'm going to pass it underneath the steering column so that I can get it back through this right side of the steering column here, or the driver's side of the steering column. Otherwise, the bends are pretty stiff, and you want to make sure that the steering column is not touching any of those brake line. So the tricky part is to route these brake lines appropriately, and in my case, so this is underneath the driver's side, just behind the firewall here, and I took off this harness so it will be out of the way, and I have the new line here and the old line, and this was a little tricky to get it out here, but if you use 2 screwdrivers and pry it out, it will come out. And I'm going to snip this old line because this is going to be a little difficult to get it out. And before I do that, I just want to make sure that this line is properly in there. I'm not going to put these in these channels yet, but I will wait till I get all the connections properly done. So with the line snipped, I'm going to take this out just to make sure I don't damage anything. And so the old one came out. I'm going to position this before I put this on. Now this flare nut is appropriately sized, and these are actually a little larger flare nut. I'm going to tighten it, and then before I tighten it, I want to put this into position so that I don't have to worry about later on. Now I got the other line. I passed the other line through, and it fits pretty well. It comes over here, and you can see that the flare fitting will go over here. I'm tightening the connection to the back, and this one is the same way as I took it off. It's taking the 10 millimeter, and I'm using a flare wrench, and I'm going to just leave it at that. This fitting is pretty good, and I'm going to now put these in. And putting it in is so much easier. You can just push it in, and look how nice it looks. Just like the, see, these are stainless, the fuel lines, and now this matches, and this should have come with the stainless steel line. We don't have to worry about it. For tightening this joint, I'm using a 12 millimeter regular wrench, and I'm using the flare wrench, the 10 millimeter. I should have used the 12 millimeter here, but since it's the opposite of the 10, I need the 10 to tighten it. So just make sure you hand tighten it before you use the wrenches. And that seems to be pretty tight, and I'll check for leaks later on. Just make sure that you hold the flare nut, otherwise you will ruin the brake line. You have to use 2 wrenches here. That looks pretty good. And now I can clip these in. This can clip. There you go. And this one can go back in. Just make sure that the connection is all correct. So that makes the first one, and this is the most difficult one, and this should get me going. But I will do the other ones too, since I have the whole kit, and I would like to do everything with the stainless steel. And finally, I'm going to use this nifty wrench to tighten it. Make sure this is tight enough. That looks good. Next one I'm going to do is the driver's side front wheel, and this goes almost the same way as I did the back one. So I'm going to remove this and take it out from the bottom as well. So these flare nuts take 3x8 and not number 10. So number 10 was not the tight fit, so I went back to Harbor Freight and got the 3x8, the standard wrenches for the flare nuts, and that one worked out pretty well. So I have been able to open this one. It's a little tight fit, but I will get this opened up. I did spray with PB Blaster and let it soak, and this one is rusted out as well. The driver's side front one was not exactly the fit that it should be, so I bent a little bit towards the end, and you have to play with it. So this bend was not exactly the right bend, but I was able to bend it, and this is all secure now. So I got the front driver and the one that goes to the back. I'm going to bleed the brakes for now and do the other ones later on. Also over here, the bends were fine. It's not going to sit exactly the way it was. Just make sure that the steering column is not touching any of these any of the lines for the brakes, and there is enough clearance for these. Also make sure that this one is attached back and none of these are detached, because you will find some other videos on my channel where you will get some error codes from these connectors here. For the rear ones, I took the driver's side rear wheel off, and you will have better access. So here is the one connection that is going to, looks like a pretty good fit. So this will be a quick one, and this is the shorter one, and over there I had already sprayed, and this one is the other connection. So I'm going to get my 3x8 flare wrench, and I already opened it. So this came out pretty quick, so it was not a problem. And I have put a little pan underneath it so that it can collect the brake fluid. This one also, I was lucky that this one also came off, since my Jeep stays in the garage, so I don't have any problems with these two connectors coming off. Passenger side, this line curves all the way over there to the other side. So I'm going to start loosening this bolt, and before I did that, I made sure that I can bleed the valves. So you want to make sure that you are able to open the bleeder valve, otherwise you'll be trapping a lot of air, and you may want to change probably the caliper if you can't open the bleeder valve. Otherwise this brake will not function properly. The other end is over here, and I put the 3x8 over here, and that should and that pretty much opened up very easily. This part is not rusted for mine, so I'm going to remove this, and you can see that this line goes over the axle and the rear transfer case, and then it comes down over here, and there is a little clip over here. I have to take out this line from the clip, and then it goes all the way over here and joins. So it's not a really difficult one. So here's the old one versus the new one, and it pretty well matches the curves, and this one is the old one, 24 years, and this can give up any day. So that's the good part about this kit, is it comes with everything that you need, including the cover, which will protect from any rocks or anything it might hit, the line might hit. So it looks like a pretty good fit. I'm going to put it in. Just make sure that you put it in the same way as it came out. So it goes in, you can see the gap right there, because it will sit on top over there. So it goes over there, and it will go between these two. I'm going to pass this in here, and that stays. I can close that a little bit. I'll just make sure that these connections are going to be correct. So I'm not going to tighten it, but I'm going to just make sure the threads are correctly aligned. The last one is the passenger side front, and this line connects from here, and there's one line that goes all the way here, and then it goes down just like the driver's side. So I'm going to take the bottom one off and loosen this one. So the replacement comes with two lines, and this will join. So I have put the new line just to place it, and you will get an idea. And the other line, and you can see that I've not removed the old line yet. So the old line is curving right there, and it goes underneath a couple of pipes over there, so connections. So I'm going to route it before I join it, so I make sure, and before I remove the other one. So I want to make sure that I'm putting it in the correct place so that it doesn't interfere with anything or doesn't rub on anything else. So here I have tightened it, and I'm going to, here in the bottom, I'm going to tighten it, and that went pretty well. I think it's very well fabricated with the line. It pretty much doesn't touch anything, you can see, and it followed the original line. Last two pieces that are remaining are the front master cylinder port and the rear master cylinder port. So these two lines, I'm going to take this off, and these two connect over here. So those are the easiest ones. I probably don't need to be replaced, but since I already have the stainless steel ones, I'll go ahead and do it since I'm doing the work, and it should be pretty straightforward to do this too. The brakes, I have this one on the passenger side front, and this takes a 10 millimeter. Now this was very tight for me, and what I used was a 10 millimeter socket that I had. And this one is better if you have a 6-point socket, because you don't want to ruin the thread or the bolt. And what I'm going to do is let it bleed without any pressure. I want it to like more of a gravity bleed. So I'm going to open it up, and it should bleed the air by gravity by pulling the fluid in.
All the way to the floor?
Yeah.
It's down.
Do a few more times.
Okay.
Hold on. It's to the floor?
Yep.
Okay. So once it's to the floor, I'm going to close it.
It's to the floor.
Okay. Release it.
Okay. Released.
And now I will open it again. Okay. Press it.
To the floor.
Okay. Release it.
Released.
Now press it.
To the floor.
Release it.
Released.
Do it. One more. Press.
To the floor.
Okay. You can see the air coming out. Release it.